Good evening and welcome to the Laurel Board of Trades Mayoral Candidate Forum for 2023. My name is Jason Plotkin. I am the CEO of the Pinder Plotkin Legal Team. I'm also a member of the Laurel Board of Trades and the chairman of the Candidates Committee. It is our pleasure to put on this event this evening. Our moderator this evening will be, once again, Pamela Hunter. Pamela is well accomplished. She did an amazing job with a large city council forum we had last week. I believe that was a record number of attendees, and it was just an amazing job. Everybody was extremely cordial. We hope to get through a lot more questions this evening. So, as you might recall, Pamela currently serves as the Executive Director of the National Association of Court Professionals for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. Pamela, it comes in high regard. She does a great job moderating these for several elections back in the time. As a reminder, just like last forum, closed captioning is available right outside those doors by the passport area. It'll be available on TV. If anybody has any questions or concerns, if you raise your hand, a volunteer will come up to you now to help escort you over there. Before we get started, I want to go through some disclaimers. The Laurel Board of Trade is a nonprofit. We do not endorse any of the candidates behind me. We have selected the questions this evening based upon social media feedback, emails to our website, and the committee also selected some questions. We have incorporated a lot of the questions that went unasked at the City Council forum into this evening's forum. The candidates do not know the questions, so we kept them confidential, and that way you'll have an opportunity to observe them as they first hear the questions. We have a lot of ground to cover. And I really want to thank the City of Laurel for hosting us this evening and Laurel TV. Laurel TV does an amazing job with all of their productions. Crews back in the control room, here on the set, in the studio, did an amazing job. So let's just take a round of applause for all of them. Getting back to the great work the Laurel Board of Trades does. We do a ton of stuff for the community. Some of your favorite events are hosted by us, sponsored by us, presented by us. But more importantly, follow us on social media. They're all out there. Regular updates, events. We really do a good job of putting the word out there on social media. It's much more effective these days. Feel free to comment to us directly, direct messaging. A couple things I want to bring to your attention about events that are coming up. We have the Trick or Treat event on Main Street next week. It is personally one of my favorite. Hundreds of children, or tomorrow. Woo, time flies. It was next week, last week. This week, it's this week, right? We're on live TV, folks. So come out tomorrow, and you know what? If you have a good time, come out again next week. Visit the businesses, support small businesses. You want to support them today before they're gone tomorrow. So it's just back-to-back weeks. And then in another month, come visit the holiday decorating contest for all the windows on Main Street. Again, lots of great opportunities. And, for those that corrected me, you probably follow us on social media, right? All right. So I'm going to outline the ground rules. Each candidate will begin with a 2-minute opening. We're going to go in order, and then we're going to go in reverse order for closings. They'll have a 2-minute closing at the end. All questions, each candidate will be giving 1 minute, and there'll be 30 seconds for rebuttal. Now the rebuttals, everybody, they should be a direct rebuttal, meaning a direct rebuttal to an answer from another candidate. It's not an additional 30 seconds to expand upon one of your answers. We will go in a randomized order so everybody has the opportunity to ask at least one question first. We'll probably have the opportunity to ask at least 3 or 4 questions first, depending upon the time this evening. That also depends upon the rebuttals that go through. To the candidates, you may ask Pamela Hunter to repeat any question, and she'll repeat it for you, especially if some of your other candidates have been a little long-winded, you might want a refresher. Feel free to ask it. We're happy to do it. The chairman of the Laurel Board of Trades, Jim, is over here to my left with our treasurer, John. If you see the yellow card come up, that means you are running out of time. You have 15 seconds left. The red card means time is up. If any candidate does not cooperate with the cards, they may be muted by the production crew. And if you continue to not cooperate, you may be asked to leave or your mic might be left off for the rest of the forum. We expect a healthy but cordial debate this evening. We have 5 candidates here. It's been a long time, right? A long time since this seat's been up for election, and there's a lot of great candidates. They have a lot to say. You have a lot to ask. If you are registered to vote in Prince George's County and you live in Laurel, you're set to vote in this upcoming election. So again, there's a lot at stake here. The first time we have a new mayor, first time in a long time, so make sure you exercise your right to vote, listen, and do your part. One last reminder. Please, if you're in the audience here today, silence your cell phones. This is a live television broadcast. The cell phones will cause a problem for those at home. And it'll frustrate our great crew that's working really, really hard to make this a great night tonight. So at this time, I'm going to welcome the candidates to introduce themselves and start with their opening statements. And we'll start with my candidate right there.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Seeta Deonauth. I'm a proud young woman from our beloved city of Laurel. I'm on a mission to modernize our community while cherishing our rich history. As a mayor, I would like to revitalize our city with beautification, enforce strong code enforcement, and afford public transportation. I'm committed to stimulating industries to create jobs, offering employment programs for recovering addicts, and providing opportunities for our low-income family and children. Together, let's build a brighter, more inclusive Laurel, embracing our past while embracing the future. Thank you.
Greetings and blessings to everyone in person and virtually. My name is Martin Mitchell. I am a Laurel native. I've been here since first grade. I'm raising my twin 7-year-old sons here, Julian and Jaden, in our hometown of Laurel, where my grandmother and mother both reside. My grandmother is right on Main Street. I've learned so much from this community around me, specifically from my teachers and coaches at Laurel High School. My wrestling coaches were influential in my growth to the person you see here today, especially Coach Chris Acosta. He taught me 2 lessons. First, work hard, regardless of who's watching. Second, more importantly, pay it forward. These are character building skills I've taken on from the village that raised me, and it's the ethos that I carry as an at-large councilman. It's been the reason I remain grassroots and the reason I cannot turn my back on this community. And that's why I've paid it forward by being a mentor and a coach to countless others. This work isn't about me, but the community. That's why I've dedicated myself to public service, whether it's being a top aide for several officials or organization. At each term, my commitment was to improve the world we live in. During my tenure, I've been a vessel for the work we've accomplished, which include mutual aid projects, public health events, fellowship with local businesses, entertainment for children, and advocating for rent stabilization for families. Last but not least, DPW employees, who now are part of a bargaining unit, thanks to their desire and unwavering commitment of Councilmember DeWalt and I. As mentioned earlier, this is our hometown, and I do not expect for that to change. If given the privilege to serve as your mayor, I intend to make sure that housing is a human right, public safety is paramount. Together, we will bolster economic development, create employment opportunities, and grow the commercial tax base and beautify Laurel. I have served the Laurel community long before I was elected. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brencis Smith. I'm originally from Hartford, Connecticut. I've been in Maryland since 2012. I've been in Laurel since 2015. I first got into politics in this area when I ran for state delegate and unsuccessfully went for the seat of state delegate, in District 21 here. After that, I was appointed to the Homelessness Task Force, where I served as a co-vice chair for that, where we gave recommendations for the new multi-service center, which we cut the ribbon for today. Shortly after that, I was elected to the Laurel City Council, where I've served the past 4 years, and I've been blessed to serve as a council president the past 2, elected by my colleagues to lead. I'm a leader that looks forward, that always looks for the right solution, that always looks for a consensus. I'm looking to do 3 things here, or actually 4, here in the city of Laurel. And moving it forward, I'm looking for economic development on our Main Street here in Laurel. I'm also looking to redevelop the lower half of Main Street all the way down to the Mark. I'd like to work with our local shopping plazas to update them so they reflect the tax dollars and the rent we're spending here. I'd also like to bring the community together by doing events that bring the community out, that helps meet people where they are. I did that already by doing the first Afro-Caribbean festival here, which garnered over 5,000 people, or around 5,000 people to be exact. And I'd be looking to do a jazz festival as well, of course, a gospel festival, a gospel festival and American music festival that will celebrate on the 4th of July weekend. Most importantly, I want to expand the quality of life for everyone here. I don't look here to promote myself or to promote others around me, but make sure the city is in the right hands, and that's the current leadership. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the Board of Trades for hosting this event. I also want to thank all the candidates for running and engaging in this process, and wish you all the best of luck. I want to thank, most importantly, I want to thank the citizens, those who's present, those who are watching at home. Thank you for being engaged, and thank you for concerned about who's going to be the next mayor of your city. I spent 24 years in the United States Navy, retired, 12 years active duty, and 12 years in the United States Reserve. I was recalled active duty for 9/11. On 9/11, I report to Yorktown Naval Weapons Station to a military police unit. I was recalled back to active duty in 2006, and I was mobilized to Kuwait and Afghanistan. I was recalled back to active duty in 2010, and I was mobilized to Kuwait again. I am a law enforcement officer for 23 years. I first started in the local level, then the state, then the federal level. I started as a deputy sheriff for the Petersburg Sheriff Department. Then I went to the State of Virginia Department of Corrections as a state correction officer. And from there, I went to the Federal Bureau of Prisons as a federal correction officer and retired as a federal pretrial service officer in 2019 from the D.C. Pretrial Service Agency for Columbia. I'm currently employed now with the Prince George County Public School System as a substitute school teacher, and also referee high school football and high school basketball. I graduated from Virginia State University, Hale State. My name is Keith Sydnor, and I've been serving the Laurel City Council for 6 years in Ward 2. I served as the council president from 2019 to 2020. I led the council during the pandemic. I sponsored emergency legislation for people who was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic for housing, food, utility assistance, things of that nature. I also served on the National League of City, a federal committee, as a public safety, and also served on the state committee, the Maryland Municipal League, Engagement Outreach Committee. I served on the City of Laurel Department of Transportation Committee as a chair. I served on the Homeless Task Force Committee. I served on the Board of Education Advisory Committee. My name is Keith Sydnor, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 7th. Thank you, and looking forward to engaging with you more.
Good evening, Laurel resident, audience. My name is Sophady Uong, and my wife and I, we bought a house in 2005, raised our 2 children. They went to Bond Mill, MLK, and Laurel High School, and now they even graduate from college. I have my daughter, my wife over here, so it's helping out with the campaigns. So in 1961, John F. Kennedy giving a famous speech address, and I quote, "My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." This famous quote is inspiring me as an American citizen. Give me the courage and for me to run as the mayor candidate in 2023 election year here. For me to give back to the community, for me to give back to America, in which I came here 40 years ago with nothing. And now, 40 years later, I achieved the American dream. And that's the reason why I want to give back to America. There's 4 top priorities that is concerned that I believe in trying to achieve this goal and vision. 1, reduce property tax rate in the city of Laurel. 2, enhance public safety. 3, improve citywide infrastructure. And 4, promote small and local business here in Laurel. So I have 25 years of professional engineering experience working in MDOT, Prince George County currently, and private sector. And part of the project is to address resident concern, meeting with elected officials, and achieving the goal. Thank you tonight.
My name is not Pamela Hunter. Pamela will be with us briefly. There's a lot of traffic in this area. I'm not going to ask the candidates what they're going to do about traffic, but I am going to start us off with some questions. Okay. Now, as I said in the opening, we're going to go in a randomized order. That's going to start alphabetically. We're actually going to start with candidate Mitchell now because candidate did an opening. So, candidate Mitchell, how will you support local businesses, particularly small, emerging ones, to ensure sustainable economic growth in the city of Laurel?
That is a great question. I've come to know the local businesses across the city of Laurel, not just Main Street, but the first thing is deeply knowing the businesses and getting a relationship with those businesses to better understand their concerns. I believe that we can provide more grant funding. One of the things that I've heard is, they feel that there's not enough grant funding, but also just getting out the information. There was a lot of small business owners that didn't know the different grant funding was available. And I know that, we as a city, we communicated and we tried to the best of our effort, but I think we really have to do more to let the business owners know. There's some that, didn't receive grants until the last minute. And so I think we can support those business owners, but I think we can continue to focus on economic growth because the small businesses in the city, they really are the city. Thank you.
Candidate Smith?
I would make sure that they're aware of the grants that we have and make them more accessible. I would create more foot traffic in this city so that people are coming to frequent their businesses. I would listen to them and have roundtables to see what their needs are and to see how we can ramp up our procurement and make sure that the grants are getting out to them and that pretty much that, again, that they're not looking at doing more paperwork than actually being helped.
And can you repeat the question again for me, sir?
Sure. How will you support local businesses, particularly small and emerging ones, to ensure sustainable economic growth in the city of Laurel?
Thank you for the question. First of all, when we was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, I served as the council president, and we received money from the county executive CARES money, and I was helped implement that money, and the council approved that money as well. My platform is basically growing small business, giving businesses more incentive to come inside the city of Laurel, relocating to Laurel, start a new business in Laurel. Small business out of America, small business out of Laurel. So I would continue to support small business, incentivize grant money, continue to incentivize that, and just go out and recruit other businesses to come into the city, find out what their needs are in this city. The citizens always say we're oversaturated with a lot of business, so we want to make sure that we bring the right business in where people can come down, we can have that foot traffic. So definitely with small business incentivizing grants and then giving the knowledge on how to apply for the grants.
Thank you.
Small business is dynamics, and it's also the backbone for our community. So without them, it's hard for a small city like us to thrive. So how are we going to attract small business here to City of Laurel? 1, tax incentive, promoting MBE minority to come into the City of Laurel, and also to make sure that they're able to promote and giving back to the city once they're able to set up their business. So normally the first 3 to 5 years, it's going to be hard because they're going to be paying everything out of their own pocket. And also we want to make sure the economic and commerce departments is able to provide a one-stop shop for these local business to come in and try to set up their business so that they can get it easily to follow a rule and to make sure they're in compliance from start to finish so they can have a grand opening for everybody to come and shop, to live, and to enjoy the food. Thank you.
Thank you. As a business owner, I opened a business in Laurel, Cecil's Bar. I know the struggle of opening the business when it comes to the city and permits and licensings. You know, I took 5 years to open the business, had lost licenses, went through so much money, so I know the pain. So I want to commit to simplifying and streamlining permitting licenses through the city, ensuring that the entrepreneurs can open at ease, and now also including supporting programs to prove training for these businesses in order for it to be a guaranteed success in the city. And enhancing that, I envision like a brighter future as the businesses can use each other's products. So it's like a Laurel brand. As in, like, if you have a coffee shop, you use a Laurel local honey. So you're promoting this Laurel brand, people see that, and we make the city different and vibrant as a unity, and making Laurel a go-to destination for small businesses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next question, and we're going to follow the same order. We're going to start with candidate Smith here. How do you intend to assess the performance of the current department heads and deputies at City Hall? And based on what criteria would you make decisions regarding potential replacements?
So I can say that the administration, the current department heads, from working close with them, they've done a pretty good job. But sometimes people can get a little out of touch, and so I would basically assess to see what are the needs of, I guess, the departments they're over, and how are the employees underneath them? Are they better serving? Are they listening? Are they being intuitive? And basically see where their morale is. Are they happy to be here? And basically just lining them up to what their job entails and seeing if they can deliver.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's important you coming in as a new administrator to evaluate all the employees, especially all your department heads. We know the department heads serve the discretion of the mayor. So basically look at their job descriptions, look at interview them again, make sure they match the needs of my vision and their vision. Look at the evaluation from the past years they had since they've been there on the job, and just continue to find out, how could they assess me as a mayor of the city. So the first time we do to give them like a 6-month probationary period to see me get to, like I said, interviewing that individual, talking to them, and then looking at the job description once again to see that they align with my vision. That's how I would assess it.
Thank you.
Yes, during my 5 months campaign, I have the opportunity to meet with some of the key city staff, director, deputy director, to have an open discussion and share some of my goal and my vision if I should be elected as the new mayor. So the first thing is communication. Show respect. We have to respect each other. We have to listen to each other. And we have to evaluate each department by department to see where is the efficiency, where is the resource, and where is the benefit, and where is in terms of the city residents that are in need. So this is what I have been doing, share and listen to them. So once in office, they already have an understand and looking forward to what my expectations are. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How do you intend to assess the performance of the current department heads and deputies at City Hall, and based on what criteria would you make decisions regarding potential replacements?
Thank you. Definitely, as communication is big, knowing who you're working with and understanding each other, respect, a lot of training and development in the department. There's a lot of departments, there's a lot of rules, making everything's up to code, development, using resources, just making sure everything is addressed and communicated so that everyone understands and we can work together as a team and the city to build for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I do believe that the city staff is the heart of the city. we as elected officials, we're just a face. A lot of times I could say that I've seen Sarah Green, working 9, 10 p.m., right? And so I always tell her, like, she's one of the first people in, one of the last people out. And so, just acknowledging the hard work that the city staff does, I can say that there needs to be some type of continuity, because at the end of the day, when a new administration comes in, there's going to be a lot of things that they need to learn about the city. So there needs to be some continuity. There's going to be some people who don't agree with the new administration's vision, and they might leave. You might ask them for their resignation, but I don't think anything should happen immediately. I think that people should be given a time to transition if, the goals for the city do not align, and especially, as somebody said earlier, you serve at the pleasure of the mayor. But I do want to speak highly of the department staff here.
Thank you. And with that, I introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to Pamela Hunter.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let's continue with question 3. And we're going to start with candidate Sydnor with this question. How do you plan to increase transparency and community engagement in decision-making processes within the mayor's office?
Thank you. I lead on integrity. It's like I said, I spent 24 years in the United States Navy and a federal law enforcement officer. So integrity and character is what I do. We got to stay in the Navy. We call honor, courage, and commitment. So I want to just lead with that first of all. Getting the input from the citizens. We say on our platform, the citizens are part of the decision-making process. So we'll have community forums, let the citizens know that their input is available, and we'll make that decision based on what we agree together. So the first thing I plan to do when I get in office, hold a citizen forum. Let the citizens come in and tell me what things they see wrong in the city, and ideas they want to have to make the city grow better. And take that input because they are the city. We as elected officials work for the citizens of the city. That's why we raise our right hand to serve them. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Transparent. Anything that come out of my office, the council going to know first, and then we're going to let the public know. But depending on how confidential it is, something dealing with a police situation, we can't let them know right away, but we will make briefings if something, keep them up to speed. So transparency will be key out of my office.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from candidate Uong with the same question.
Yes,
Thank you.
welcome. Honesty, transparency is the best policy. I work for MDOT, and currently I'm working for Prince George County as a public service, and I stand by my ethic and code to make sure that any information, whether it's a big issue or crisis, the resident of Laurel should be the first one to know the truth. And we have nothing to hide. So a government that is not trustworthy, it's not the government that are serving the city of Laurel, because they're the taxpayer. So for me, been public over 25 years, private, public service, and this is what I'm doing. So I have nothing to hide, and I will share with the resident to make sure they're comfortable in for me as the mayor and the city staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth?
Thank you. As I'm here to build, create new. So I'm young. I know it's new, so I want to do something different. I want to provide entrepreneurship, be in contact with the community, because this is new and nerve-wracking and be futuristic. I'm trying to make a change, something above and beyond. And so creating new programs and new relationships with anything with technology and environmental stability, having my word out there, but also having the support. So knowing that we can all do this together and embrace that, so that every voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell?
Can you repeat that question once more?
Absolutely. How do you plan to increase transparency and community engagement in decision-making processes within the mayor's office?
I think that's a great question. So, one of the things that I've done as a council person, as a community person, was bring community ideas to life. A lot of times the events you see, the participation in organizations you see, it's not my idea. It's community members, residents bringing these ideas to me. And so it's great to have that engagement, to bring these great ideas to life. We need innovation. I think that we need to digitize. So, there will be more accountability and transparency, making sure that all of our meetings are live. That's one of the things that I commonly advocate and have advocated for. If we can have this forum live, we could have all of our, city council meetings, all of our ethics meetings live, right? Just so the community can be aware of the things that are happening. The last thing I would do is an external audit to make sure that the city knows, that we will be good fiscal sponsors, and, good stewards of the money. Thank you.
Candidate Smith.
Can you repeat that question for me?
Sure. How do you plan to increase transparency and community engagement in decision-making processes within the mayor's office?
Town halls and communication. Just letting the city know and the citizens know what's going on, letting them know directly from the office, whether it be through bullets online, or it could be through text messages of saying, hey, we're having a meeting, come out. I know this current administration's done that. I'd ramp that up to make sure to have stuff that would actually make people want to show up sometimes, and just be innovative about it. But more importantly, just communication and taking their concerns and bringing it back to the council along with the administration.
Thank you. We're going to move to question 4, and this time we're going to start with you, Candidate Uong.
Yes.
How do you plan to expand Laurel's business tax revenue?
Promote tax incentive in attracting local small business here in City of Laurel. Make sure that our permit is a one-stop shop, easy and convenient for either Laurel resident or non-Laurel resident coming here and trying to open a business. So I understand some of the code might be a little bit hard to understand or non-in compliant. So we want to make sure the Economic and Commerce Department is able to modify, stream, one-stop shop so that everybody could come over here and able to apply and open the business here in Laurel. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth?
Thank you. I believe reviewing incentives for businesses by reviewing the current tax refund, all the programs, understanding what is out there and the effectiveness of the grants and loans and what we can do with taxes, assessing local needs with the community and the industries that benefits from the incentives, creating a proposal for tax refund programs that can include schools and the economic impact, obviously the city council approval. I know that's kind of been, you have to go through the city, you have to get all these permits. It's a lot to know, and paperwork, it's all paperwork. Public awareness, getting us out there, knowing these businesses, what they go through, what is being filed, how it works in the city of Laurel, because it's not just, it's the state, it's the county, and then it's the city as well. And then, just accountability and engagement with the city and the people. Thank you.
Candidate Mitchell, same question.
Yes. So I hosted a business roundtable at the AutoNation dealership on Washington Boulevard. We had about 100 business owners, the Chamber of Commerce, the delegate from Anne Arundel County, Howard County, Montgomery County, and of course, as you guys know, Laurel spans 4 counties. And so it was important to have a conversation with those business owners and those elected officials, because we will need support to grow the tax base, right? One of the things that happened recently was 5 more liquor licenses on Main Street. And so I want to say that, the work happens in the gaps. There was a business owner on C Street. He complained about, the red tape and asked if I knew a consultant. I introduced him to a consultant. That consultant got the chair of the Prince George's County Council to introduce the bill. The bill now has 5 more liquor licenses. I just saw that Caribbean Express just yesterday applied for one of those 5 liquor licenses. And so that is already growing business.
Thank you. Thank you. Candidate Smith?
Repeat the question, please.
Certainly. How do you plan to expand Laurel's business tax revenue?
Well, as I mentioned in my introduction, I'd love to redevelop the bottom half of Main Street And I would love to work with the local plazas, shopping plazas here to make sure they're beautiful and aesthetically pleasing to everyone here in the city. When you have an attractive place, you have a place that's thriving, you have businesses that want to come in. And to be honest, again, the amount of tax and the amount of rent we pay here, it should reflect that. And I think when we're having, again, with the foot traffic, with the events, when we're having a better looking Main Street that's thriving, places to go, you're gonna attract other businesses here. And so I do just that.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, I want to take some credit for that because I came on the council in 2017, and our revenues now is $37 million in 2017. So we have grown. The tax base expand. Now we like at $41 million. So the prior councils, and I want to thank them as well. I mean, continue to work with Laurel Board of Trade. You guys are the heart of the city. So we're going to continue to work with you, get your ideas as well. And just once again, the biggest thing you want to do, attract a business, get them an incentive. We know that we all gonna say the same thing here because we all agree with that. That's the biggest thing on any main street in America. You want to give them the incentive to come to your business. And my thing is, as mayor, I want to create more jobs. You create more jobs, more people come into the city, and that's what we're gonna do. We continue to work, create more jobs by giving incentives to business. The goal is to hire at least like 5 new business a year, and hope those businesses hire 10 employees per business. That's 50 employees a year, and continue to grow. So that's what I want to do. I'm gonna work with the Laurel Board of Trade and continue to give incentives business to come inside our city.
Thank you. We're going to move to question 5. And question 5, we're going to ask candidate Deonauth to respond first. How do you plan to tackle the issue of street racing and implement effective traffic calming measures?
Thank you. To tackle that, thank you for the question. It's interesting for the street traffic. We go to what is our traffic coming in? What is the people coming to see? What's the police force? How they monitor? I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure, absolutely. How do you plan to tackle the issue of street racing and implement effective traffic calming measures?
I'm sorry. So street racing and traffic calming measures. I've been thinking about like an updating site, a website for traffic to point like what is the speed limit. You can like ways where you say this. We have a checkpoint. There's traffic on this. Enforcing. Obviously, we have a lot of speed cameras. I see a lot of speed bumps going in. Just having our safe environment, more bike lanes, walking. Maybe implementing like electric scooters, so that we don't have a lot of street traffic and we have more, you can use the scooters electrically and see the city to inform them. Thank you.
Candidate Mitchell?
Can you repeat the question once more?
Sure. How do you plan to tackle the issue of street racing and implement effective traffic calming measures?
Sure. This has been an issue, for a long time, especially in the Old Town Ward 1 community. There's been several times, I've been canvassing and seen, cars racing through. The issue isn't, residents, as some people just believe. It's also people passing through. And so we need more, speed bumps. I see that we have be creating more speed bumps and speed humps. I saw one on Irvin, Oxford, Ashford, and other traffic calming measures, figuring out where we can design street traffic circles in Main Street, figuring out maybe we could put some rubble strips right there by Selborne House because they keep speeding past the seniors, right? Speed cameras are okay, right? And they're going to bring revenue to the city, but we should make sure that revenue is used towards increasing zero pedestrian safety, right? We want to add more sidewalks. We want to make Laurel more bikeable, more walkable. And so, those are some of the things that we would do to address street racing, which we already have.
Thank you. Candidate Smith, same question.
I would lean on what we're already currently doing, which is starting to place speed humps within the city and where the community is asking for. Of course, with our speed cameras, and work closely with our police force to see where we can have officers set up to help scare people from stop speeding through our city. We know that people go over speed humps and start speeding up again. In our neighborhoods, it's really detrimental. We have kids running through people jogging, walking. So just implementing that and making sure that all the residents that are looking for that in their community get it.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yes, street racing is a fad. It's something that's going on throughout the country, and so we need to monitor that. Most of the time, the street racing they post it on social media. Our Laurel Police Department does a great job detecting that. Over the summer last year, they detected it for street racing and they stopped it. So we're continuing our police to monitor social media. We're coming to speed humps, traffic calming devices. We already got legislation passed on the council already, and some of these traffic calming devices are already installed on the following streets. I just read some of the street from the memo we had: Urban Street, Astral Drive, the 1100 block of Montgomery Street, West Street. So, it's a continuous thing in monitoring because most of the people speed our neighbors. People live right in our community. So we just got to continue to monitor that. With we have the state legislature passed laws that we can now put speeding cameras in residential neighborhood 35 miles above. So we can rotate our speed cameras around through this neighborhood and also just be more aggressive with our police department when getting issuing tickets.
Thank you. And last.
Yes, the traffic calming and street raking. Since I'm a civil engineer, working Department of Public Works and Transportation, this is what I review. So I'm on a case by case. So there's three components. One, police enforcement. So you have speed camera, you have red light in the camera in the intersection already. So it's hard for the police also to be everywhere and trying to enforce, the motor who are speeding. So the second one is going to be engineering, and that's what we are implementing a speed hump where it's appropriate based on the study, where the location seemed to be more aggressive driver, and based on the public community, and based on the new law. And the third one is driver behavior. So we need to educate our driver. So if you have a driver license, you pass a test, you should obey the traffic law. Simple as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. I may feel some kind of way because I was rushing to get here today. I noticed the candidates looking at me very intently on this response. Okay, we're going to move to question 6. And for this question, we're going to start with candidate Mitchell. How do you view the concept of reallocating funds from the police budget to other community services?
I view that as, of course, something that we can look at in the future. I think that from what I've seen from the budget, the police, they do get a pretty good allocation. One of the things that we continue to talk about is, making sure they're adding more mental health training, making sure we continue to add incentives for, quality public safety individuals to come to the city of Laurel, because of course we want to make sure that we are a safer community. I think that coupling that with mental health and working with the mental health organizations and facilities we already have and that are coming up are very important, because mental health is important, as you see every day, and extremely important since COVID.
Thank you. Candidate Smith?
Particularly to our city, I don't look at reallocating funds with them. They actually need more for training and more officers to be on the street. We only have a certain amount of officers We only have a certain amount of officers patrolling the city at a certain at a time. And honestly, when I talk to the community, they're looking for more presence, more police presence. So it's not really a thing that I'm looking to allocate more. I'm looking to get more tax revenue from the city, but not reallocate their funds.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor?
Yes, I've been on the council for the past 6 years, and I got to review all the budgets. So what happened is the budget come out in January, and the council will look at the budget until May. May 1st, when the budget got to be, actually June 30th, budget got to be approved. So we look at the budget. Each department has to submit that budget with the things they need. And so far, since I've been on the council, the police, everything that they submitted, they need. And I support that 100%. Everything every department submitted since I've been on the council, they need it. So that the way we do things here in the city of Laurel, each department head is very efficient with the equipment they need for their employees to do their job, for their employees to be safe. And I support that the past 6 years. And I'll continue to look at that and making sure that employees have the work, the tools, and the resource they need to do their job. And the police department does a great job with that. And so I don't see a need to reallocate anything from our Laurel Police Department. If there is something need to be reallocated, I think all the department heads will get together and we'll talk about that, what we need to reallocate. But the most important thing is public safety in any city. So we want to make sure our public safety officers have the tools they need to do their job.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
This is tied to my second platform, which is enhance public safety. I would increase more police funding to the department rather than decrease and allocate it to other department. And here's the reason why. We want to make sure that the police is on foot, on bike, and connects with our children, our community, and our local business. Why? Because of high poverty crime here in the city of Laurel. As you follow monthly report issued by the City Police Department, you can see that we want to secure our home, our vehicle that we work so hard to earn, and not only that, to want to make sure that local business in Laurel feel safe and that people come and shop, not afraid by bad actor who come here and disturbing our city. So for me, this is what I'm in favor of. So I'll be working hard with the police department and the police chief to make sure that public safety is our number one priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth.
Thank you. I as well agree with putting more funding in the police department. I know after COVID, the police department had lack of police officers, and I've lived in the city my whole life, and the city, they're here to protect and serve. So to give them more of a budget to, as Martin said, programs for that mental health, support system for mental, and then to de-escalate, learning programs to de-escalate, putting the funding into watch patrol because there's a lot of property crime going on. I want the city to see better. You feel safer. The less the crime rate goes down, the more we want to grow the city and involve better people and more funds and grow the city as well with less crime rate.
Thank you. On to question 7, and we're going to start with question 7 with Candidate Smith. What do you perceive as the primary challenges and opportunities for the city of Laurel over the upcoming 5 years?
Sure. Economic development in our public safety. We have crime rising up in our county, honestly in the nation, and just making sure that our officers are equipped, but also making sure that our businesses are equipped here. Grants, and again, I get back to making this place aesthetically pleasing. Our Main Street thriving, our local shopping plazas thriving, beautiful, attracting quality stores, restaurants alike. We have a lot of people passing through our city, and everything else around us is being developed. And the city of Laurel shouldn't be left behind. We're the only city we're the only municipality in Prince George's County that has our own zoning, and we need to capitalize on that and make sure it fits and looks like what we want it to be.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor, same question.
Yeah, can you repeat the question again, ma'am?
Certainly. What do you perceive as the primary challenges and opportunities for the city of Laurel over the upcoming 5 years?
Thank you for the question. I mean, Laurel is in a very unique place because we sit in the heart of the Metro Washington area. You got Fort Meade, you got the Space Center, you got NSA, you got all these government jobs and contractors coming. You got a whole military base with contractors and active duty military personnel, and they need places to stay. And our surrounding counties, Howard County, Anne Arundel County, is building up. So we want to take advantage of economic development as well. I know we get a lot of pushback in the community about, but the world is growing. People are living longer. People are, moving to this area because of the growth of the jobs here. I came here in 2003 because of government jobs and chose to live here in Laurel. So I want to see us continue to grow, continue to expand our city, annex some land if we can, work with the county and the state to get more land here because we need to take advantage of the area as well because with that government jobs right in our back door, we don't want to be left out.
Thank you, Candidate Uong.
City of Laurel is a dynamic suburb. And to ensure with the next 5 years, we want to make sure transportation infrastructure is up to date. You got 95, 295, and of course, US 1 in combination with the MARC train. These are things that impact the city of Laurel as we pass by each day. traffic is backing up, people get frustrated, and where to go? Jamming. So that's why my second platform is to make sure that we're able to solicitate and secure more federal funds to improve transportation infrastructure here in the city of Laurel. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth.
Thank you. As I am young, I want to be the future. So I want to go more technology. Maybe full on go electric. We already have a lot of the charging stations. Trying to promote that for the environment. Really down the road would be like maybe adding solar panel roads. Solar panel roads, you don't have to use concrete or asphalt. It's cheaper, and it pays itself. It has capital gains. It also has the ability for heating. So when it snows, we can create it. You don't have to have the trucks, and we can be safe. Creating something with the solar panels is big for the environment. We have a healthier city down the road, which is time and money, but is a plan that could be a long-term plan, including waste-to-energy facilities for our trash, developing those type of facilities to convert the energy of trash and creating the environment to reduce our carbon footprint. As well as transportation, I think a big one for the city and getting around, creating a bus system again. We used to have that bus, so a bus touring, and also it could run on solar panel battery power, so we're saving, it's a cheap way to run the city, explore, and help families.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell, same question.
One more time.
What do you perceive as the primary challenges and opportunities for the city of Laurel over the upcoming 5 years?
So as a Laurel native, I understand the city very well, and I want to say that there's been a lot of people throughout my term in the city council that helped me understand other aspects of Laurel, especially Ward 1, since I had never lived on Ward 1. And I think that we need to make sure that economic development is paramount, right? We need to make sure that, Main Street is developing in other areas. I rode past the shopping center that has Arby's, and it used to have Pasta Plus, right? I love Pasta Plus. They're not there any longer, right? But what can that shopping center be, right? So we have to be thinking about like what we can grow that into the future. But then also we have to grow with housing, smart, right? We have to make sure that there's smart growth. We want to make sure there's not suburban sprawl. We want to make sure we're growing around transit-oriented developments. And we want to make sure that the community, has a voice.
Thank you. Okay, and so now we are going to move on to question 8, and we will start with candidate Sydnor. The city of Laurel has been allocated federal COVID relief funds intended to enhance residents' quality of life. Could you detail your stance on the current distribution of these funds and any adjustments for which you may advocate?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I was appointed the council member on the COVID-19 Task Force Rescue Committee, and we met weekly to distribute funds. Citizens would solicit funds based on housing needs, based on business need, and we will approve that with the mayor and administration senior team. And I would take that report back to the council, let the council know we approve of it. So I don't have any issue at all. Everything that we approve from the American Rescue Plan money we receive, we use that into the city. There's no discrepancies. I stand behind that, and I'm sure the citizens that receive the money is very happy. So we allocated the money in the right, proper place. There was no mismanagement of the money.
Thank you. Candidate Uong.
Yes, the COVID-19 fund, it should be distributed to all the people, the residents who are in need, particularly the PPE, especially for the last 3 or 4 years. And even now, some of us still need the masks. Some of us just need the COVID shot. Any other material that will help them, even the testing, including the testing, all that part. Yep. So food, shelter is also a plus for the people who may not have home to go to. And I'm hoping that we can help each other, that we can look into all the residents who are in need to come to the city of Laurel. I understand that City of Laurel is in the process of building a multi-service center in order to accommodate more people who are in need of the city service. So thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. The city of Laurel has been allocated federal COVID relief funds intended to enhance the residents' way of life and quality of life. Could you detail your stance on the current distribution of these funds and any adjustments for which you may advocate?
Thank you. I did just funds. It obviously would be to the in the business, we as COVID, so many businesses failed during that time because of rent and properties and licensings. So to put funding educational to inform the people how they could have gone about getting access to these funds and using them to help themselves, to help the families that after COVID. So basically funding and information and and creating housing and opportunities with that funding money. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell?
Yes, can you repeat the question?
Sure. The city of Laurel has been allocated federal COVID relief funds intended to enhance residents' quality of life. Could you detail your stance on the current distribution of these funds and any adjustments for which you might advocate?
The American Rescue Plan funds, $21.4 million from the federal government, of course, to assist the community. My biggest gripe with it was, of course, the transparency. I challenge any citizen to go online and learn more information about the ARPA committee. Look for detailed disbursements. Look for bids. It was very confusing. One of the things that I found was, of course, as the council member said, he gave the council members a report, but I didn't consider it adequate. There weren't adequate meeting minutes. $1,500 for PPE. Okay, who voted which way, what motion was taken, and so those are things that I always bring up. And then there's people that we gave money, and there's no oversight. We gave that church next to Dottie's, I think like $5,000, and they left 2-3 months later, right? And so that church, that faith-based organization, is not staying in the city. And so yes, I would reevaluate things, but I would definitely get more community input.
Thank you. Lastly, Candidate Smith.
Well, I've taken some more community input, as Councilman Mitchell said, but I do think the ARPA committee did a good job at distributing them. When people came with the need, or an organization came with the need, they came and they sat down, they met, and they looked at they had a criteria. They said, we even dished out over $250,000 to help with the rent relief when COVID came in. When I was elected, COVID just happened, and I'm proud of the work that they did. But the only thing I would do is get a little more community input about what they're looking for and how they want to spend, which they did do. They put a questionnaire out and they asked, but probably get something to get people. Actually, never mind. It was hard to do that because it was COVID at the time. Nobody was coming in person, but they did a good job at what they did.
Thank you.
I just want to read a rebuttal to Council Mitchell.
30 seconds,
Yes,
please.
we sent a report out every time we met, and Council Mitchell never asked any questions about the report. Everything was public information. We public it on the website. We gave money to people. So I don't understand why he didn't ask any questions then. He asked questions tonight. So that's all I just want to say.
Can I comment?
30 seconds.
So, of course, I definitely raised comments via email, of course, which I can forward. But, outside of that, I asked to attend the meetings. Myself, Councilmember DeWalt, we asked to attend the meetings because, of course, as a council member, we're free to attend any meetings we so choose to, of course, make sure that everything is happening in transparent order and, there's not a veil of secrecy, right? And so, all of those things were not honored.
Thank you.
I mean, we can go back and forth. The truth is the truth. So, I don't want to turn this into an argument or anything. We know that, it's 5 council members that got the same report. So,
Thank you.
leave it like that. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And before we receive question 9, I would ask the candidates to remember to speak into the mics so that everyone can hear you. And we are broadcasting and on many platforms, so pull the mics closer to you and be sure to respond into the mic so everyone can hear you. Thank you so much. And with question 9, we're going to start with you, Candidate Uong. And the question is, having observed a trend of escalating hostility and confusion in council meetings over the past 2 years, as mayor, how do you propose to foster a more respectful well-structured, and productive environment in future sessions?
Well, we are the government. We work for the government, by the people, for the people. We should be acting as a professional, serving the city of Laurel resident. It shouldn't be happening. But I can't say because I wasn't there. So for me, if elected as a mayor, it will never happen. My part is to communicate effectively with other councilmen. We need to work together. We need to respect each other. We have a different, whether we agree or disagree, but we should listen to each other. Now, if you want to do a powwow, do it at outside before you come in this chamber. So we are adult. We are professional. And that's what the city of Laurel vote us, so that we can be a little bit more civilized. Thank you for your question, and I'm happy to, well, I'll leave it that one. Working in the government sector, private sector, this is not
Thank
what
you.
I'm doing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I don't think the timing of that question was lost on the audience either. Same question to candidate Deonauth.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. Having observed the trend in escalating hostility and confusion in council meetings over the past 2 years, as mayor, how do you propose to foster a more respectful, well-structured, and productive environment in future sessions?
Thank you. Obviously, this is new to me, so I've been watching and engaging with the city. I am a leader as I run businesses and have to hire employees. Engaging with your city, you want to work with the people you with. You want to make them comfortable, make sure every voice is heard. Making maybe meetings together, like understanding and not having that hostility. Having a guideline, making like just the way that this is today. You have a time, a limit. There's rules, so therefore we don't go into, discussions, debates. Keep it very professional, just knowing your people, and then having events with the community, getting to know each other so that you all are on the same level and understand, and you can be open to make the community better, and your ideas are to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell, same question.
So repeat the question once more.
Having observed a trend of escalating hostility and confusion in council meetings over the past 2 years, as mayor, how do you propose to foster a more respectful, well-structured, and productive environment in future sessions?
So, just starting off, that question is kind of a double-edged sword. I do think that we've had disagreements on the council, and there's been tension, but I do think we work collaboratively. I do think that we communicate with each other. There's some times where, of course, there's a misunderstanding. I had the Laurel Resist Forum the other day, and, one of the things that I said was, attack the policy or the policy position, not the person. And, sometimes when you're speaking out in passion, it might come out as, you're directing it at some person. And I want to say that, I don't think that's ever been the intention of, any of the council members. But I do think that, of course, with the new administration, it's going to take time to gel. It's going to take time to understand the attitudes of everyone. One of the things we should try to do is, get together and understand, where each other is coming from, the ideology. I think when this council came along, we talked about our priorities and then we dispersed. We never met again, to check in and see how those things were going. And so thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
Well, I would do what I did as council president. I would form a relationship with all of them. But the problem was, in my opinion, was that some people came in and felt it personalized what they were passionate about. And sometimes, as Councilman Mitchell said, they got lost in their messaging and made it about the people, actually, instead of the policy. But what I would do is foster a relationship where they can be heard, where the council members have a working relationship with the mayor, and not make it personal. We can always agree to disagree, but we always should be looking for the solution, looking to attack the solution. It's not about the person. We may see differently, but at the end of the day, 5 council members have to decide on what's going to happen, how it's going to move forward.
Can I respond?
Thank you. Rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Yes, I think he misunderstood me. I wasn't saying that, you should attack the person or the person was attacked. I was saying that I believe that the policy position should be addressed, right? And that's what you can address as a legislator. I know that we talk about what can happen with collaboration, but at the end of the day, we have the best control over what happens in our city. And so, speaking passionately, acting passionately, you need to stand for something.
Thank you. 30 seconds.
Can I rebuttal? I wasn't talking about attacking the policy. I've witnessed and sat here and chaired the meetings where council members attacked each other, and I've had to bang the gavel. And we need to stick back to the issues and look at the solutions and not take it personal when one doesn't agree. And that's where I was coming from.
Thank you.
I respond.
And this is the last one, and then then we're going to move on.
So in all fairness, you have to let everybody express their opinions, right, and their thoughts. I want to say I sat right here on this dais where my mic got cut off, right, and so that's censorship, right? The president who sits right there, he thought he knew what I was going to say next, but what I was going to say next was completely different from what he thought. And so just speaking about it, right, that's one of the things I would openly accept when somebody disagrees with me, because at the end of the day, I can admit if I'm wrong, or we need growth in that subject.
Thank you. We're going to move on. Candidate Sydnor.
Yeah. I think over the past 2 years, I don't think we had too much hostility. We had some things that were very passionate, but I don't think it was too much hostility. The council president sets the tone of the meeting. The mayor, that's who runs the president. We got council rules we need to follow. And once we follow the rules and having retreats, learning about the council rules, learn how to conduct meetings, because the work session is designed was to talk about the stuff in the work session. We had 2 public hearings, and in meetings, you don't have to go back and forth. Either you're going to vote yes on it, or you can add more discussion on it. So it's just us following our orders, following our general rules. And, it's going to get passionate sometime, but I don't like the word it was hostile. I think people just passionate and believe what they want standing for. So.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm surprised none of you said you need a moderator. Couldn't resist. Okay, question 10, and we're going to start with you, Candidate Deonauth. Could you please share an overview of your educational background and employment history, highlighting any particular experiences you feel are relevant to your candidacy?
Thank you so much. With that question, obviously, someone younger going into office, you want someone experienced, you want someone with knowledge to make sure that the city's going to run. I opened a business at 21 with my dad in Laurel. I knew nothing about the business at all. Like I said, it took years to learn the city and learn permits with liquor licensing. Had to learn accounting, had to learn employees, had to learn to make a menu, digital marketing, that I all taught myself. So I'm very, I teach myself, I'm initiative. I learned to lead on my own. So I think for that, my background of coming from nothing, I'm able to learn and improv on the spot, which I think is good leadership, which leads to this role of leading the city, and that I've grown up in. I want to see a brighter future, and I would love to work with the people, and the people work with me to grow and achieve that with my employment. Thank you.
Candidate Mitchell?
That is a great question. When we talk about experience, being an elected official, even though, you're a dear public servant, it's a job. It is, something you prepare for. I want to say that, when we talk about experience, I'm the only one that went to school for political science. I'm the only one that still looks to, advance. I'm taking my master's program for public administration. And so, I've had a focus of political science. I've had a focus in government for several years. When we talk about experience, I'm the only person here that's been elected citywide, right? And so I've been serving the residents. I've been serving the business owners, and I go to sleep tired every night, but I wake up excited for the opportunity to serve. And so when we talk about experience, that is the experience, being a Laurel resident, being a person who's went to school, who's worked at every level, the federal, the state, the county, because of course you need all of those partners to move Laurel forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Certainly. Could you please share an overview of your educational background and employment history, highlighting any particular experiences you feel are relevant to your candidacy?
So I went to school for organizational management. I've worked in finance and accounting over the past 10 years. You need that to look at budgets. I've been on this council the past 4 years, and I've led the council as a council president the past 2 years. The next mayor is going to be dealing with the new council, and it's not the time for a steep learning curve. And so you're gonna need someone that's gonna understand the government as it is now, but also understand that it has a vision to push the city forward. That candidate's me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Candidate Sydnor.
excellent question. Now, my background, like I say, 24 years United States Navy, retired as Chief Petty Officer. I supervise men and women in hostile environments. So I have empathy. I understand training. I have the tools when employees need to get trained, the tools they need to do the equipment management budget. And I can answer that question in various ways, but just leadership ability, someone they can look for, someone who's not afraid to do the work, even though I probably won't be doing the work every day, but I would go downtown and get dirty with the men and women. And just empathy, compassion, understanding budgets, leadership, and just those are things that take a great leader. And those are things that I've been born with. So,
Thank you. Candidate Uong.
Yes. 40 years ago, I came into America without speaking in English. I have to learn how to read and write English. Eventually graduated from high school with honor and went on to University of Florida. Graduated in 1995 with a bachelor in civil engineering. So today, I work for Prince George County Department of Public Works Transportation. I work for MDOT, Maryland Department of Transportation. I work in the private sector as a consultant engineer and also as a contractor. So being trained by MDOT and Prince George County, and now building road and bridge in Georgia, Florida, here, and also in Maryland. So my background in education, it lead me to the experience in dealing with the resident public official. And that's why my motto is build today, better tomorrow. So what happened in 24 is going to be serving for our children, our community, to cherish on. Thank you.
Thank you. For question 11, we're going to ask Candidate Mitchell to begin. How would you evaluate the city's current performance? Can you highlight its successes for the community and identify any pressing issues that remain unaddressed?
So, of course, the city's performance, that's very complicated to judge, but I think that the city has been doing good. I think that the city has been growing, as some of the colleagues mentioned, in revenue since I've been on the council. I think that one of the big major issues that, we've seen, even, of course, with that food line issue with the pest is, the rats. So, that's one of the challenges that we will have to address, how we deal with the rat problem. The food line had a notable problem. You saw 7 on Our Side came out, and the business owners were able to help address that. But there's even more that are popping up at the Laurel Lakes. And so, those are just a few of the challenges. But I think that the city is doing pretty good. And I think that there's ways that we can move to, modernize. As I said, I was talking to Public Works, and they were talking about digitizing things more. So you have a living record, things live on. And so that would help us.
Thank you. Candidate Smith?
As Councilman Mitchell said, we can all agree the city's doing well. They're a well-oiled machine. Of course, there's going to be cracks and slips that in places they can do better in. There is an infestation going on. Many of you probably seen it. If you're on Laurel MD Connect, there's been complaints about rats around the lake. Rats with the trash cans. Some people want 2 pickups because they don't want their garbage sitting there for a whole week. So there's things we have to look at. But as a whole, I say the city's doing well. It's been run well for a while.
Thank you. Candidate
can you
Sydnor.
repeat the question again?
How would you evaluate the city's current performance? Can you highlight its successes for the community and identify any pressing issues that remain unaddressed?
Yes, like Councilman Smith, Councilman say that we are part of that process, So I'd say we give us a A- right now. We're doing pretty well. Things we can improve on. We just purchased a multi-purpose center that's going to enhance the quality of lives for people in the region, homeless people with mental health issues, people that's suffering at risk at this time. With that multi-purpose center, that is a great investment in the city. And I want to commend this council and the past council for doing it, for investing in that project. So the city's always thinking ahead, forward thinking. That's what we've been doing. So we're going to continue to do that, make our lives, improve the quality of life of all our citizens, regardless of what kind of economic background we have. So we're just going to continue to do that.
Thank you. Candidate Uong. Same question.
Yes, the city of Laurel did a pretty good job, especially the police department. So we don't see a lot of violent crime here, except the property crime. In terms of the public work, I would like to see more on improving sidewalk. There's a lot of tripping hazards throughout, especially Ward 2. So that is not in ADA compliant. That could create a lawsuit for the property owner or the city of Laurel also. So that's what's going to be working with the public director, Brian Lee, to ensure that all the sidewalk, curb, roadway will meet the standard. And in addition to that, I'd like to see promoting more small business thrive, especially at diversity and more festival for the citizens to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, candidate Deonauth.
Thank you. I believe the city has a lot of events going on that really improve and help the community. I think it needs a lot more marketing. The events need to be out there. I know a lot of people don't know that events are happening until they're happening. So really engaging with the patrons to come out and attend those. Create an interactive parks for kids, for that help the younger kids to inform and art their brains. So also maintaining the street lights. I know there's a lot of complaints how parking lots are dark and they can't see. So putting in a program for the city or employees to check that weekly, make sure the bulbs are all there and cameras are working and the technology is up to date. Beautification to the city, as in the Laurel Lakes, maybe placing the floating gardens in there to create that people will want to come see the city because it's new, they don't know it's here, and it's different between the city of Baltimore and DC. We're trying to create that in between. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have time to move to question 12 before the break. Question 12, we'll start with candidate Smith. What is your long-term vision for the city of Laurel, and how do you plan to actualize it during your term?
My long-term vision is strongly for their economic development and their public safety. Expanding the police force or having enough officers in the city patrolling, making the city feel safe. By, of course, reinvesting in our Main Street, redeveloping that again, and attracting business to get tax revenue. Building higher density apartments down near the mark, and also, again, looking at our local shopping plazas. While everything else is going up around us in other towns, Columbia, Bowie, Silver Spring, we don't want to be left behind. We don't want to run downtown when it comes to our business district or our shopping plazas. And if we can update that, because we're already building homes, but if we can update that, I think we're going to do just fine. So, and of course, sorry, I forgot to mention the festivities, making sure that there's annual festivals that can happen long before and long after I'm gone.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yeah, I can repeat your question one more time, ma'am.
Yeah. What is your long-term vision for the city of Laurel, and how do you plan to actualize it during your term?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Once again, continued economic development. Like we said before, we got this area here, the Metro DC area. We got Fort Meade, we got Gala, NSA. All these businesses are close by us and contracting government jobs. So we need to make sure that we have the space for these businesses to come in. Like I said, annexing the land. Just talk to the state and talk to the county to get more land to the city. Because like I said, we want to compete. Just like Anne Arundel County want to compete and Howard County compete because they're building up around us. So we want to be able to get some land, do that. And also crime prevention. Continue to invest in our young people. The more we put in our young people, the better it's off. So like when I want to go to a coalition, faith-based leader, educators, law enforcement, returning citizens, get them all together. Let's find out the root cause of problems so we can deter that. And a pathway to home ownership. I want to be able everybody to afford a home sometime, So I want to create programs like that. You move into Laurel, we got a pathway for you to own a home. And home ownership is very important. That's how you get equity. That's how you have generational wealth.
Thank you. Candidate Uong.
Public safety is going to be number one for me. I want to make sure that everyone feels safe. We want to make sure that our children is connected, our community is connected, and our local business is connected. So that you can shop, you can walk your neighborhood, and you can talk to your neighbor, feel freely. And I can walk, you can walk, without feeling somebody behind you. So whether it's the police officer, whether it's the bad actor, whoever it is, that's what my top priority is, to ensure that everyone, regardless of what your color, where you came from, you want to make sure you still feel safe here in Laurel. So, and the next part is to make sure that our local business is thrive. And that's what everybody come here to shop, to work, to live, and to enjoy Cedar Laurel. That we are treated equally, and we as one American. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth.
Thank you. As a long-term goal, I would definitely want to improve the city with modern technology, creating an easier environment, and that's also keeping the historic roots as well, so we can apply to the young people, attract a younger crowd, because we are growing, but also with technology and improving, making life easier, we're helping out the elders and creating new systems that we want to be diverse and cater to everyone in the city. And with historic buildings is a big thing we can attract outside crowds, as like we're a historic tour, we want to attract, we never really get a lot of outsiders, so we become a tourist place. And Main Street, we're in a unique city, there's a lot of buildings, a lot of small businesses, compared to like Ellicott City, so we can build and create, modernize, just become a new city with growth and diversity for all the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more time.
Yes. What is your long-term vision for the city of Laurel, and how do you plan to actualize it during your term?
Wow, that's a great question. And having been a Laurel native, there's a lot of things that I wish Laurel could have. I remember some of the same playgrounds that I went to as a kid that still need to be rebuilt, right? But when we talk about, public safety, one of the biggest things we should think about is recreation. Who are committing a lot of these crimes? The teenagers, the youth, right? And so making sure we're providing adequate and more recreation opportunities. One of the things that I'm proud to say is we had a council member, Glenn Ivey, someone from his office come the other day, and they spoke about earmark funding. And so I helped the Laurel Boys and Girls Club work directly with them in Glenn Ivey's office for them to apply for a grant, which they're now going to receive. That's just a start. That's $300,000 towards rebuilding some of those old windows in a historic building. But that's the same building that I played basketball. That's the same building that I coach wrestling. And so, that's the same place where we have events. And so we do need to focus on, of course, making sure the Laurel Boys and Girls Club is adequate.
Thank you. And checking the time, I am going to try to squeeze one more question in before the break. And so we're going to entertain question 13, and we're going to start with candidate Sydnor.
Okay.
How do you plan to address and mitigate the rising homelessness in our community? And what support will you provide for those in need?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I just want to push back on that question for a little bit because I don't really think we have a homeless problem here in the city of Laurel. We do have people wandering around, but you say a homeless problem, you're thinking something like Washington, D.C. or L.A. We don't have that issue here in Laurel. But what we did, we mentioned this earlier, we bought a multi-purpose center because we want to recognize that people do sleep in the woods here. We want to address that, Howard County and Arundel County. So that multi-purpose service is going to address a lot of social needs that people have. Like I said before, people suffering from co-occurring disorder. Co-occurring disorder, someone with a substance disorder and a mental health disorder. And so we're going to address those things, that multi-purpose center. We continue to work with the county and the state to get funding because it's going to take a lot of funding and collaborate with all the nonprofit organizations that we have. And I think that would eliminate that. But most of the people that you see on the street that's homeless, they probably have, like I said, a mental health condition, and we need to get them assessed. And once we get them assessed, we can get them treated and we can get them the right services. That's really the issue.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
Yes, I would agree with Councilor Sydnor. I don't see a lot of Laurel residents here that are homeless or out on the street compared to other major city. Based on the 20 census, Cedar Laurel is only about 9.5% or so that is poverty. That's because probably it's the other, probably Hispanics or Latino American that are in need, probably because of the English barrier, that they're able to unable to get some service from Cedar Laurel. So I would encourage any resident who are in need to come to the Cedar Laurel so that they can provide a better service. So in terms of a multi-service facility that's getting ready to construct right now, so that could be a good place for anybody who need help to come to that place. and trying to get some help from the City of Laurel. So thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth?
Thank you. As I grew up in Laurel, I've actually seen a lot and been around a lot of homelessness in Laurel. I see it a lot. I see the tents. I run, I walk. I've been high school here. There's a lot of homeless people. There's tents, people walking around the streets, like the corners that Main Street have gone through. And that involves these people have been, homelessness comes from them using drugs and losing their money. So in order to help that, we can maybe do programs with the city, the community itself, where they volunteer as sponsors, and we create that program, that safe environment where they build connections with the community. So we have volunteers helping the homeless get through their, mentally, physically, and we create those programs and events to keep them going, and mental services, and just creating an environment helping the route. I'm sorry, that we need to grow, to save the, not to, oh my God.
It's okay.
I just-
Your time is
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you. Candidate Mitchell,
One more time, the full question.
the full question, sure. How do you plan to address and mitigate the rising homelessness in our community? And what support will you provide for those in need?
Sure. Of course, there is a homelessness problem. You might not see it on, the street, but some of the, I called it like the wandering, right? So they're in forest, they're in cuts, they're in alleys, right? And these people still need help, right? They need more mental health training. More mental health that's available. Some of them need substance abuse help, right? And so the multi-service center is great. That is going to be a very good start for us. And of course, being on the north side of Prince George's County, that's going to provide great opportunities. I get calls pretty much weekly. I got one recently from, Ruth Walls, and she, I could say, goes into some of these forests and helping people in the community. And so we need to make sure that individuals like her and organizations, have as much support as they can. And then, of course, working, cross-jurisdictionally, because some of those individuals, are coming from other areas.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
I would probably create another task force, just like current mayor did with the homelessness task force that I served on, bringing all the experts working at those different organizations, see how they can tackle that problem. And of course, make sure the multi-service center is funded and that they have the support of the city. Making sure that we're advocating on behalf of bringing back the dollars the same way the 21st delegation did for us.
Thank you. And we have reached the point where we're going to take a break, a 15-minute break, I believe. Yes, 15-minute break, and then we will come back and continue. Thank you all so much. Welcome back from the break. We're going to resume with the next question, and we're going to ask candidate Uong to begin. How do you view the recent unionization within the City of Laurel's Department of Public Works, and what impacts do you believe this will have?
I'm support the collective bargains, the union. Right now, we have Department of Public Works is a part of it, is trying to get unionized some for the employee. In terms of the entire City of Laurel staff, not yet. But it's worked best for the employee, which provide them benefit, raise, hourly, work condition. So I'm in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth.
Thank you. As well, I support what they do with infrastructure, and that goes with me becoming modern, having them on my team to have sustainability with financing and building and becoming green and solar. So I do approve in parks and waste management and the community engagement incentives to keep them with us and their pay great as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell, same question.
One more time.
How do you view the recent unionization within the City of Laurel's Department of Public Works, and what impacts do you believe this will have?
I view it as a great thing. I believe that all employees should have the ability to collectively bargain. I remember when, this issue first came up, one of my first conversations was with a former council member who still lives in the city. And, through that, I understood some of the FOP challenges to unionize and collectively bargain. And, his response to me was that, he didn't think it would happen, and he also didn't believe that it was completely necessary due to the size. I told him that, everyone should have the ability, especially if there's 20, 30 or more employees. And so that's why I'm happy to say that we have received support from the bargaining unit, that's now the unit for Department of Public Works, but other unions, because of, our support for working families and the work that we've done not only in the city of Laurel, but at the state of Maryland. And so I've definitely been locally focused with the statewide regional impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
Can you repeat the question?
How do you view the recent unionization within the City of Laurel's Department of Public Works, and what impacts do you believe it will have?
I view it as a good thing. Giving the employees a chance to bargain on their own behalf. And of course, that was my first time going through anything like that and helping them unionize, I leaned heavily on our city solicitor, our labor attorney, and going through the process, making sure we're checking off the I's and dotting our I's and crossing our T's about it. You don't want to do it the wrong way, and I never was there when the police started theirs. I just got on the council 4 years ago, so I think it was a good thing. I think it's going to have a tremendous impact. I think it will attract employees to apply to work here, and I guess they're just going to have to bargain and see how great it's going to be for them.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yes, first I want to say unions are the fabric of America. Without the unions, we won't have a middle class America. So I support the unions 100%. Myself, I am a union member. I joined the union in 1997 as a federal correction officer, and I have organized a union here in Washington, D.C. in 2006, AMG 14, Local 1456. So I think it's going to have a positive impact when management and labor get together and negotiate the best benefits for the company. It's just I don't see any negative coming behind it, and I'm looking forward to it. The union should be here, and I voted for it, and it's a good thing.
Thank you. We are now going to move to the next question, and we're going to start with candidate Deonauth. What's your stance on the presence of drug treatment centers within Laurel?
I definitely approve of the drug treatment centers. There is a lot of drug use in the city of Laurel for decades now. Maybe also including the harm reduction program, those programs that do supply like the needles and the Narcan for these situations, because it's going to happen, but we can at least prevent it and save lives. And also with the programs in the schools, young, like the DARE programs, investing in therapies for their mental health, creating the work for them. So like maybe introducing trades throughout the business of Laurel, not like corporation trades, so they're able to focus on a trade itself, learn and supply for the community as well, and keep them off their habits. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Mitchell. Same question.
And the question was, one more time.
What's your stance on the presence of drug treatment centers in Laurel?
Okay, awesome. So we definitely need to make sure that there are drug treatment centers in Laurel. Of course, as we talked about, you've heard all the candidates speak about substance abuse. Hope House hasn't been operating for, from my understanding, almost a year. And the nearest Hope House is in Crownsville. Hope House, I personally met residents who have been impacted by this program. People that I've met today who I wouldn't have realized that they had a substance abuse problem at any point in their life. And so like we need facilities like that, Hope House. I do work with, Lars, and I work with Elizabeth House. And like I said, I directly work with some of the community advocates like Ruth Walls. So we definitely need that. And I think that earlier Narcan was mentioned. So I definitely carry Narcan with me at all times. We know that the fentanyl epidemic is serious. And it's one of the questions that I asked the deputy police chief, making sure that all of the police officers carry Narcan and are trained in how to administer it. Thank you.
Candidate Smith.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What's your stance on the presence of drug treatment centers in Laurel?
I'm open to it being here in Laurel, whether that be through public and private partnerships or starting maybe something outside of the multi-service center. But I'm open to it being here. If you're part of this community and you have that issue and we can fill and basically help you out, I think that's definitely needed here. It's not something we should shy away from because it won't go away. And so that's a problem we should definitely deal with.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yes, I worked in DC pretrial service as a pretrial service officer and worked in drug court, and I wore two hats. I wore a supervision hat and I wore a hat as a certified addiction counselor. So when I got a certified addiction counselor certificate, where I can work with the defendants waiting pretrial. So I definitely support drug treatment. Drug treatment is number one because, we need to treat people suffering from drug illness. Drug illness is a disease, so once we get that in the cover, get that person treated and get that person some skills, and start with the drug treatment center first, and then we can go into that multi-purpose center we're talking about. You also have a case manager component and an employee component as well. So I support any drug treatment when it comes inside the city of Laurel 100%.
Thank you. Candidate Uong.
Education, education, and education. We all have been taught since middle school, high school, say no to drug. So if you're a teenager, don't use it, period. Now, if you have to use it, in this case, some case that adult cannot get out of it, of course, the city of Laurel should have a facility in order to take care of the resident who are in need. Should have a qualified doctor, counseling, and any other type of medication that may cure them. But for me, I believe in being proactive and preventive. Say no to drug, you don't need to have any treatment, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, we're going to start with Candidate Mitchell. What is your position on cannabis use among city employees?
That is a great question. And that's fair because, some of you might know they call me the cannabis councilman because I'm a medical patient and a cannabis advocate. And so I have definitely spoken to city employees, some of which are medical patients, and they were threatened that if they used their medicine while off of duty, that they would be fired. And so as I continue to promote medical and the holistic benefits, we definitely don't want people operating heavy machinery. So that's something we have to be cognizant of, aware of. And so for me, I definitely would advocate for anybody who needed or felt they needed to use the plan in whichever form. But there will also be guardrails, especially for people that are dealing with heavy machinery. We definitely don't want people on the job, using. But after they go home and they have their bottle of wine, or they don't have their bottle of wine. They should be able to.
Thank you. Candidate Smith, same question.
For me, it just depends on the position of the person, what their position is. Are they using, like he said, heavy machinery? And pretty much, if you're a desk job, definitely shouldn't be something you're using during the day, during on the job at work. It's just like alcohol, where you shouldn't be drinking and working, right? So I wouldn't expect anyone to be smoking while they're at work, smoking in the office here, smoking outside on their break, and then getting back in a truck or something if that's what they do for work. But for me, it just depends on, again, the job title.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yeah, it's a tough question here because, cannabis is a Schedule I drug. Until the federal government take it off the Schedule I table, right? And then, like the government, I work for the federal government, you couldn't use marijuana because even though it's legal in D.C., but since it's been a Schedule I drug, I'm quite sure, I don't know the policy here in the city of Laurel, but recreational use, it is legal to use recreational use, but an employee come and get a drug test and they test positive for cannabis, and cannabis stay in your system for 30 days or so. It's not like alcohol. You can take a person to go get a fit for duty check, medical, and see alcohol in their system and discipline them that way. But marijuana can stay in 30 days. So until they take it off as Schedule I drug, the employee using it, I think they should not use it. I think that's something that you need to tell them human resources that we drug test marijuana. If you use marijuana, you're probably subject to termination. So, but medical purposes, if the person got something with medical, then I think that's special circumstances, and they need to talk to HR and the doctor to find out how we resolve that matter.
Thank you. Candidate Uong.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yes. What is your position on cannabis use among city employees?
Absolutely not.
It's simple.
You're the city.
Simple.
We are public service. We need to set an example to our children and to our Laurel resident, our community. Why would any government employee using drug, alcohol, in this public facility, doing a job? I work for, public service for over 25 years. Now, if you want to use somewhere else, privates, be all your guests. But for me, no, not in this as a public service.
Thank you. And Jim thanks you for giving his arm a break on that question.
Can I respond?
Yes. I'm sorry, what are we?
Can I refute or respond to that?
Rebut?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes, although there was not a basis for the rebuttal, but I'm going to say yes, 30 seconds.
Yes, of course, it's a very complicated topic. But, as we said, no one should be using on the job. But, if they go home, and they use, just like you drink a bottle of wine or you drink a beer responsibly. I don't think we should penalize city employees for, using medication or using it recreationally, therapeutically, however they choose fit, off hours.
Thank you. 30 seconds.
I'd like to rebuttal.
30 seconds.
Yes. Since childhood, education taught us say no to drug, say no to alcohol. That's plain simple English that we need to adhere and follow. So if we as a public service cannot follow the rule of law, then we shouldn't be working as a public service. Now, what you do in your private matter, personal, that's different. But here we need to set in a good example for our Laurel citizen.
Thank you. And we're going to move on. Same question, Candidate Deonauth.
Thank you. I don't have a personal opinion or position on this. It's a legal law, so I can't say anything. It's just like prohibition, where alcohol was legal, but now it's not. Some drugs and alcohol help people work. They need it. It's for health reasons, and some it messes them up on the workday. So it's really up to that person and that position and their work performance on it. It's not for maybe the city for me to judge. So I don't have an opinion or a position on it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question, and we're going to ask Candidate Smith to respond to this question first. How do you plan to integrate artificial intelligence, also known as AI, in city operations? And what effects do you anticipate on the quality of work and the workforce size in the city of Laurel?
I would have to check with my my department head. I'm not an expert in that area, so I wouldn't sit here and try to answer that and tell you that I have the correct answer on that.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yeah, it depends on which department, how you want to integrate it, introduce into the system. Like maybe the police department probably can use some stuff. I don't know exactly how you want to introduce it, so it's kind of hard for me to answer that question, Yeah, but I have to get more, I have to need more information on how they want to use it in the situation. IT might have some reasons, we got subject matter experts, department heads, and we'll sit down and talk to them. It's something that can enhance the work, but we don't want to get too robotic because we want people working, we talk about labor. So, we all support unions. So we got robots doing all the work. Then we have no people, and then there are more crimes and more poverty because people can't eat. So we want to make sure that we be very careful on how, so that's my answer.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
I'm not an expert in AIs, but I'm a people person. So I prefer to communicate and interact with people on a one-to-one basis so that they can understand, listen, interact, having a human emotional rather than talking to a robot. Or if you pick up the phone and call somebody else who have no clue what you're saying. No, ma'am. I prefer to come in and one-on-one. If you have any question and issue, I'd rather do that rather than, reach out and call and talk to somebody on the other line. It's an AI. No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth, same question.
Thank you. As an AI technology, obviously, I'm trying to modernize the city, so I'm all about the AI technology. It's recently, I teach myself a lot, so it's been really helpful, and I think it only can improve the city. We're not taking away from the community, but just improving it and helping it with, as some people do like talking on the phone, some people hate it. So with AIs, if stores close early, you don't get your business done, this will create the opportunity for people to thrive and still use this knowledge to their advantage. And still, like I said, the community can still have these things, but just help, and it will help elderlies as well. So I'm a big AI and would love for the city to transform in that way, but keeping the community, in person as well. Thank you.
And Candidate Mitchell, same question.
AI is an important topic as we see, things continue to modernize. We continue to use artificial intelligence. Of course, it's something that we should utilize to make people's jobs easier, but it can be a double-edged sword. So it's something we have to be careful about. One of the things I want to make sure to do another traffic study, because of course we did a traffic study about slowing the speeds down. But, this traffic study, I want to be focused on, how we can redesign some of the city streets for traffic to flow better. And when we think about artificial intelligence, we realize that artificial intelligence, of course, is replacing everyday people. And so we want to be careful about how we modernize to make sure that, we're not just eliminating a whole workforce. And so those are some concerns, but we will utilize AI. And, in some ways, I think that we're already utilizing it.
Thank you. Our next question, and we'll start with Candidate Sydnor. How would you ensure the prosperity and continued success of the Laurel No-Kill Animal Shelter?
Great question. When that legislation came, it was all the councilors approved it. No one was against it. We know how important animals are in this country, especially in Laurel, because as I go around canvas, and I think every house I knock on have an animal in it. So I definitely support it. I know we got an endowment to put money in certain places. Now we just got to find a location where to build it at. So once we find the location to build it, I'm quite sure whoever the mayor between all five of us is going to support that. I know I would support it. So like I said, we got money for it. We just got to find the land to build it on right now.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yes. How would you ensure the prosperity and continued success of the Laurel No-Kill Animal Shelter?
I'm in support because they have lives just like us human beings. So they deserve to treat in good hand, in good care. They feel pain, they cry, just like us human beings. So if they are straying around in a city, that's also a nuisance for our resident. So I'm in support of finding a proper place for animals to take care of, and for all those Laurel residents who are in need, to adopt and bring them to their home. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth, same question.
Thank you. I support that there's a lot of animal people in Laurel, a lot of green space. But on top of that, maybe just also, since they are no-kill, providing programs for these animals, and maybe even with the programs with the homeless and drug users, because animals are emotional support systems. So they could use that as a job to take care of the animals and make that a 2-for-1 kind of thing. Thank you.
Candidate Mitchell, same question.
And it was basically how you would support the no-kill animal shelter, right?
How would you ensure the prosperity and continued success of the Laurel No-Kill Animal Shelter?
Okay, so the no-kill animal shelter is important to this community. If you have paid attention, the city hall was packed a couple months ago with the people from the Laurel Cats who were advocating for the establishment and making sure that the no-kill moved forward. Of course, this is something that we've all advocated for. I think that what I would do is I would work with the county because, of course, it takes collaborative partnership. We're the most northern part of Prince George's County, and so getting an investment from the county government, would be huge to create that North County Animal Shelter. The biggest hurdle there is now is just finding a facility. We have the desire, we have the help and support. We just need to find a location that is adequate for the animals and that, we can utilize. And we also want to make sure that when we build this shelter, that it supports especially the Laurel community, because a lot of people's concerns is animals from other areas.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
I definitely would support it. I definitely would support it, as I did when I voted on it. Helping to look for the land to build it on, but also, as Councilman Mitchell said, looking at the county to see if they can help fund that as well. But I also would look across the city limits and see if the other counties around would maybe help fund that, because their animals do cross into the city of Laurel, and they're the ones being found here. So as an animal lover, I would wholeheartedly support it and look for that land we're going to build on.
Thank you. And moving to the next question, we're going to start with Candidate Uong. Given the global and unpredictable nature of challenges like pandemics, how would you enhance the city's readiness in response to unforeseen emergencies?
The federal emergency management system needs to be up to date, and to make sure that we alert all our rural residents to various communication, whether it's a text, email, phone, flyer, or any other mean and methods, to make sure that if there's a crisis arise, we're able to inform the Laurel community in a timely manner, to make sure that proper material, PPE, supply are in place, so that we can able to direct all the resource in a timely fashion manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth, same question.
Thank you. Definitely preparation is big, because you never know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. So just being prepared for everything, keeping everything stocked up, and engaging and having that program happen so everyone knows what's going on. We're up to date. I think big preparation, and then on response teams working together with community plans to execute that. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell?
Yes. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes. Given the global and unpredictable nature of challenges like pandemics, how would you enhance the city's readiness in response to unforeseen emergencies?
Yes, I want to say that I think that the city, has a pretty good emergency management plan. I want to give credit to Mayor Mo. He equipped the city with a great emergency management plan. And one of the things I say, he was a great emergency management, mayor. And so I think that one of the things that I've seen is relying on the staff, relying on the different staff and departments, making sure that there's clear communication, of course, between the different departments, but also to the residents. Because if there's clear communication, that can put everyone's mind a little bit at ease, right? Because when there isn't clear communication, that's when people become on edge, and we don't want that. We want everyone to feel at ease, even in an emergency situation. And the last thing I would say is, of course, have the motto that you need community bases, community hubs. We saw over the pandemic, like the ICCL, it's used for mutual aid when emergencies do happen.
Thank
So
you.
having that in mind.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
Communication and training, whether it be semi-annual training or annual training, but making sure the city's always ready for whatever and equipped with whatever technology is needed, and whatever master plan is needed to make sure it's executed correctly. And of course, as we stated, working with the local community that can help when we have these issues, to distribute some of this PPEs and whether it be food or shelter, and making sure that everyone's in communication, having annual meetings with the people that would be involved in it, the stakeholders, to make sure they're ready for that. So it's not just bearing on the government's back.
And the last response to this question goes to you, Candidate Sydnor.
Thank you. Thank you again. I served as the council president during the pandemic, and I saw a lot of things that we can learn from. First of all, we probably need to put some money away for emergency planning, because we got money from the federal government, money from CARES Act to rebuild Laurel. So I would recommend with the Laurel Board of Trades in the city to put money to the side in case we have some type of pandemic. We don't know, it might be a virus, might be a flooding or something, but that money is set to the side to rebuild those businesses when it's time, when we repair those. Have a health officer. We have a health officer on board. We meet weekly with the health officer during the COVID-19 pandemic to make sure that the trending was going. So we make sure we keep that in place. We make sure we stockpile water, masks, hazmat suits, things of that nature. Get our CERT team back up. Get a junior CERT team back up. That way the parents can know how to help the kids and kids not help their parents, and run some drills. Do a citywide drill sometime, have an incident, and let us be prepared for that. So those are some ways, because you never could predict what happened. We right here near the dam, could flood, or any virus could come any minute now. So those are some things that I would recommend that we continue to do.
Thank you. Our next question, we'll start with Candidate Deonauth. Do you feel that unauthorized residential basement rentals are a problem? And if so, how do you plan to address and regulate unauthorized basement rentals through legislation?
Thank you for asking the question. I say it depends. The problem, as in, is there these basement rentals? Is it safe? How many people are in it? Does it affect the homeowner and the rent? So it's a topic. It affects. I'd say if it's controlled and everything is coded and up to date with the property owners and the people living, I think it's fine. Thank you.
Candidate Mitchell, same question.
Code enforcement. So yes, it's a problem, and it's something that I've seen firsthand. I know on 10th Street, I'm not going to point him out, but there's a landlord who's illegally renting, doesn't have a renter's license, and this landlord has been renting for 30, 40 years. He subdivided a house, so those are the kind of things that we're letting slip under the rug. It's either that we don't have enough enforcement, we don't have enough code enforcers to enforce it, or we're just turning a blind eye to certain things that should be enforced and enforcing in other areas, right? And so I do believe it's an issue. It is a concern, of course, for safety. At the end of the day, it will be properly inspected to make sure that someone could live there is habitable, right? And so that's what's good for the resident, and that's what's good for the business owner, or someone who wants to be a business owner.
Thank you. Candidate Smith, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Do you feel that unauthorized residential basement rentals are a problem? And if so, how do you plan to address and regulate unauthorized basement rentals through legislation?
Councilman Mitchell said code enforcement. Enforcing it, though. It's not enough to just legislate it. You got to enforce it. And taking the complaint seriously, going out. Because it's not just, like you said, it's not just about the person living there, but it's about the safety. Is it safe for them to be down there? Is it a hazard? You know, can a fire break out? Do they even have an exit? So those are things you need to know. And when you have that, you have a safe community. So I would definitely step up the code enforcement on that and make sure that they're properly coded.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yes, if you have a basement and you rent it out without going to the proper procedures, then you're in violation of the city codes and you're endangering people and your neighbors, right? The community is only safe as the people in the community. So definitely, I'll support, you know, if you want to go through the proper procedures and get a permit and, you know, rent your place out. I think we should create legislation for that. So enforcing it is so hard because, you know, we had this situation before and we were talking to our attorneys. How do we go in someone's house to see if someone living there? So that's some things we got to talk to Annapolis, city solicitor, to find out ways how can we enforce that. We get complaints about that, but what grounds do we have to go automatic in there? We had that situation before, but definitely I support legislation and I encourage folks that if you want to rent your basement out, come down here, file a permit, go through the proper procedures, get it inspected because like I said, when you rent it unsafely, you're putting the whole block at risk.
Thank you. Candidate Uong.
Yes, in today hard time, most property owners were trying to find some creative way in generating some income in order to pay for their mortgage. So if the property owner followed the city audit procedure to make sure that the basement is in compliance with the living code standard, then I'm in support of the owner doing it. But if they renovate it without the proper permit in violation, no, that's unsafety, not only to the property owner that live above, but also the new tenant that live in the basement. So that should not be the case. And if that's the case, code enforcement should be there from day one to make sure that the permit is in process, the permit is filed, the permit is good, so that they can go ahead and continue to rent for the property owner. Thank you.
Thank you. The next questions have been submitted by our audience, and so we will hear what's on their minds and of importance to them as we continue. So we will start this question with candidate Mitchell. The Laurel Boys and Girls Club feels like it has not been supported by the city of Laurel. What is your position on the Laurel Boys and Girls Club?
So as I said earlier, you know, I've been a Laurel native. I remember playing basketball, you know, on the basketball team there. I remember coaching wrestling, you know, and as a council person, I remember having community engagement events there. And so it's not just about, of course, supporting them while I'm running for office, but of course, making sure when I'm in office, I'm holding those community engagements events. But bigger than that, making sure that they receive the funding to rehabilitate the building. And, you know, we see that that building is still being utilized. It's utilized by different faith groups. It's utilized by different nonprofits. And of course, the kids, right? The youth are our future. And so I do feel that the Boys and Girls Club could receive more support. I've seen it in much more pristine condition. And, you know, moving forward, we will make sure. As I said, I've already advocated to get them grant funding to start replacing some of those windows. And so that's a first step. But we're going to need, of course, you know, the city to step up, the county to continue to step up, and the state as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
They're a historical treasure here in the city of Laurel. And I definitely would support them. I'm on no side of feelings when it comes to who may not like the Boys and Girls Club and Boys and Girls Club relationship with the city. I'm a new bridge. I'm an olive bridge. I'm not in between any of that. So I would support them and make sure that they're up to code so that they can flourish here. Because when they're flourishing, our community's flourishing. Some people don't want to go to Parks and Recs. They want to go there. And some people grew up on that. And that's okay. So again, helping them to look for the grants, to get looking where we can help them, where we can, but make sure there's a relationship and a line of communication that's direct. And so they know what they are getting from us. And we also know what they're needing from us as well. So.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor, same question.
Yeah, this has been going an ongoing situation since I've been on the council. And by all means, I support any organization that want to invest in youth. You know, so that's first of all. The relationships has to be before transparent on both parties. to the City Boys and Girls Club and City of Laurel. So whoever the elected officials are in the management of the Boys and Girls Club, they got to have an honest conversation with one another and do the assessment of that building. It's a historical building. Do you need all that building? I don't know. But we had to sit down and talk the funding of the building, things of that nature. So but both parties have to be very transparent with one another and just lay it all on the table and just try to make the best interest for these kids.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
Yes, I am in support to make sure that the building is up to standard for all the City of Laurel residents to enjoy. And I'll be happy to also consider of the funding to make sure it's fiscal responsibility and accountability by the management also, to make sure it's safe, to make sure everybody is welcome and able to enjoy the facility. Thank you.
And lastly, Candidate Deonauth for that question.
Thank you. I definitely support Laurel Boys and Girls Club as a staple in the city of Laurel. Obviously, we know the building's run down, so it needs that funding to become a better building and also maybe make it a centerpiece of Laurel. So with that funding and upgrades, make it a staple of supporting it out there as a historic, making it Laurel so that people come out and it's a public thing and it has press and becomes known. So the more people that come out, it has more funding and becomes more known so we can keep it growing. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, we will start with Candidate Smith. What are your plans to continue to beautify Main Street?
Redevelop it. Keep it looking historic. Making sure there's grants for the business owners that are currently there. When you look at other towns and other towns that have historic main streets, like you look at Annapolis, you look at their main street, it can thrive. Some need paint, some need a new direction of the structure. And if you want to attract other businesses there, you're going to have to reimagine how that looks while keeping your historic look. Again, you can go to King Street in Alexandria. It's beautiful. People frequent it. And this is not a concept. I'm not a genius for thinking of this. I didn't think of this. I just went to these places. I've been there, and we can do that here too. Again, we have our own zoning. We got to get together with the business community and see how that looks for us. Because it's not my way, it's our way.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yeah, thank you for the question. The City Council just passed some funding to redevelop Main Street in various areas of Main Street. Facade, grants, incentivizing business to come. It's just a collaborative effort. Every small town in the U.S. want to develop their Main Street, and I think you got to incentivize business to come. Like I say, get the right business one to come. You don't want to oversaturate a place, and then they just be competing with one another, and then that's why you probably see the growth, because landlords going to rent, to whoever come in there. So we can't stop that, and I would never stop that. The point is, I'm trying to get at that. We need to just incentivize them more, like facade grants, make it a beautiful place to walk, maybe close some of the streets down, have some art festivals, things of that nature. Use the art council and things of that nature. That's how I think we'll beautify, get that pedestrian walk.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
My wife and I, we walk along Main Street during our campaign, and some of the business is pretty thrive, and some of it is pretty much closed the door. So for me, that's part of my fourth platform, is to attract and promote small business. Like to see Main Street a little bit more lively, more diverse, and more people shop and walk around. Maybe part of it is transportation improvement, make it more accessible, parking, walking, and able to have a community outreach that say, welcome to Cedar Laurel. This is live Main Street, where everybody can shop and support local small business. So that's my main part, is to ensure that everybody here enjoy more food, more cultural, and more lively. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth, same question.
Thank you. I definitely agree with all these ideas and statements. Growing up, I was so excited for festivals at Main Street. Festivals used to be super big. Like Christmas time, had all the pre-decorations. Growing up, you look forward to that stuff, and that has died down a lot lately. So bringing back a community to do any type of festive things to bring people together and make our city really nice. I'm putting some art in the community too, which involves a lot of schools and programs, which is outside sources, and creating that Main Street to be different. Like I said, again, bringing in outsiders and beautifying Main Street and business owners working together as a whole to become beautification on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell.
I just want to say, I think Main Street is beautiful, but we can continue to revitalize and renovate Main Street, update Main Street. One of the first things that I thought about when I think maybe I was running last time was that HP Poise sign. I remember talking to individuals about updating the sign because at that point the sign, it looked very bad. It's similar to like the giant sign, right? And they said, "Oh, it's a historic sign." And I said, "Well, I think you can renovate this and still keep it historic." And that's what they did, right? You see that brand new, beautiful retro style sign out there. And so that Main Street has been working, but I think that one of the commitments I have is hiring a Main Street manager to develop Main Street with the community's interest, a Main Street manager that will work with the businesses that are already existing and make sure to attract new businesses. I would love to see maybe a white tablecloth restaurant. I do spend a lot of time in Laurel, but I hate having to leave Laurel to go have fun after 9 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, we're going to start with candidate Sydnor. What is your view of the Ethics Commission and fines levied for noncompliance?
That's a great question. But that's good. They exist for a reason, to make sure we're in compliance with what we're supposed to be doing. And I think if I'm quite sure they give you a warning and tell you need to come in compliance to do certain things. That's what they're supposed to do. I'm quite sure that's what they probably done. So if they're not in compliance with the Ethics Commission law, they give you a deadline to come in compliance and they fine you. I think as an elected official or anybody, then you have a dual responsibility to pay a fine, whatever they ask you to do. But as long as you do what they're supposed to do, then they shouldn't have a problem with that.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
As a public service, we have to follow the code of ethics. I'm working for Prince County. I have to file financial disclosure yearly. I have to have training in ethics every year, and to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in accordance to the personal law. So, first of all, education, training, and know that ethics, because we public service, we have to adhere. Make sure that we follow the rule of law, set a good example to our children and to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth, same question.
Thank you. Ethics is based on a law and how it should run, so I believe in it 100%. It's how a system should run, and maybe we could put laws or things in place of businesses with like no discrimination for our city to become more diverse and that people feel safe with ethical. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell.
Yes, I want to start off saying that, the Board of Ethics is a difficult job and, it is a service job. And so everyone who participates, we appreciate their service moving forward and, the service that they've already committed. I would say that what I've seen is the board and I've seen, quote unquote, like what I would say is political witch hunt. Right. And so at the beginning of my tenure, I remember that we were brought before ethics about, doing events in the community. And, as a council person, I thought that's what we were supposed to do. I remember that, a council colleague asked me like, well, you got elected now, are you going to stop doing events? Right. And so my response to that was like, the reason I got elected was because I was in the community. And so why would I stop after I get elected? And so, you might not always see the events that we participated in, but there have been several, and the impact is great.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
I think there's a need for the ethics as always. And before I actually, can you repeat the question?
Yes. What is your view of the Ethics Commission and fines levied for noncompliance?
Okay. There's rules to follow, and they usually give warnings. As long as the communication is clear and there's no miscommunication, I think I'm fine with it as long as, again, they're clear on, hey, I need this now, and it wasn't dropped and then they didn't communicate back after they told you to fix something and then came back and said, oh, it's still not correct, and didn't get in contact with you. But as long as they're clear with their communication, I think they're fine. because we all try to follow the rules.
Thank you. And a similar theme question, for the next question, we're going to start with candidate Uong. The first requirement to apply for this position is that the candidate must have integrity. You all must think you possess integrity if you are applying for the position. How do you define integrity?
Well, based on my education, my experience, working for public service, private sector for over 25 years, beside integrity, I have a sound judgment, and I'm following the rule of law, ethic, to make sure I set an example, a good example for my children, for my community, and most of all, for the American. Because we set an example to the world that we are following the rule of law. And if we don't, why are we here? And I'm here, it's because I want setting a good example, and that's why I'm running for the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth.
Thank you. Integrity. That's why I'm up here. It's nerve-wracking. It's different. It's new. But I'm trying to reach out to the people. I have that will and that emotional with people. I live to please people. I work in that industry. So my integrity, I just want to push with, like I said, my experience and get to know people. I don't give up. I'm here to lead, and I have a lot of experience and proof for that. Thank you.
I remember the one word integrity, but what's the full question?
Certainly. The first requirement to apply for this position is that the candidate must possess or have integrity. You all must think you possess integrity if you are applying for the position. How do you define integrity?
I think integrity is being transparent, like being open-ended. I think having integrity means that you're willing to, do what's right, whether someone's watching or, whether everyone agrees with you. And so I think having integrity is being a man of conviction. But one of the ways that, I've seen and operated in integrity is, of course I have a lot of housing policies and things that I want to get done. But when the landlords were coming, outside of meeting with the residents, my biggest concern was meeting with the landlords and finding out some of their concerns. Where can we actually find middle ground? And so, I think integrity is, of course, being transparent. I think integrity is doing what is right. And then also just making sure that you are responsive, because, a lot of times people get there and then they forget that the people elected them to be there.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
Can you repeat the question?
The first requirement to apply for this position is that the candidate must have integrity. You all must think you possess integrity if you are applying for the position. How do you define integrity?
Someone that doesn't use antics to get what they want and to get things done. Someone that uses, that looks for the solution. Someone that is forthcoming. I think of someone that looks to bring people together and honestly, even when they disagree, faces that head on and says, okay, but what can we do? What do we agree on? So I think of someone that just pretty much is honest about what they're fighting for and what they're defending and how they came about.
Thank you. And Candidate Sydnor.
I guess I'd use a line from Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing. Always do the right thing. One of my directors from pretrial service said that was his tagline. Director Keenan said, always do the right thing. We have a job. It's being honest. If you make a mistake, just be honest that you made a mistake. That's integrity, truthful, being transparent, things everyone else has said, but always doing the right thing. We know as human beings at this stage of the game when we're doing something that's wrong. We got to look that person in the mirror and say, I'm doing the right thing. And you can ask that question, then, that's integrity. And I can't do it that. So, it's just simple. It's really like Spike Lee and Director Keenan say, always do the right thing. So that's how I define integrity. Doing the right thing when no one is looking, you're still doing the right thing.
Thank you. And our next question, we're going to start with Candidate Mitchell. What initiatives or actions do you believe the mayor's office should undertake that aren't currently being addressed?
That's a good question. So, of course, one of the things that I've always talked about is, making sure that we have the programming that represents the diverse culture that is here in Laurel. I think that, we've done a good job in, presenting some cultural events, but I want to make sure we do more. And, what we've also talked about and heard is we need to do more to market it directly to the constituents who live here in Laurel. A lot of times, people find out about these events on the same day, right? And so, I'm proud that the community, we've done events during my tenure. When Acapulco first came, I had 2 events there, I think their first month. And so not only just having events there, supporting them, but making sure that the community knew that this great restaurant was there. And, and so I think that's what we could do is, of course, continue to diversify the programming that we have here to reflect diversity here in the city. Like maybe next year we have a Diwali event.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. What initiatives or actions do you believe the mayor's office should undertake that aren't currently being addressed?
Addressed. So I think the mayor's office does take on everything. Addressed, as he mentioned, cultural programming. I did the Afro-Caribbean Festival. We had around 5,000 people out there. I did the first outdoor Juneteenth celebration. Paid out of my pocket to make sure that happened because I had to pay for the field. And just making sure that if we have a large enough demographic of a group, making sure they're seen and heard. Bringing the community out and making sure they're unifying and not just doing events just to check off the box and say we did it. Making sure they're meaningful, not wasting our tax dollars to say we did an event.
Thank you. Candidate Sydnor.
Yeah, that's a difficult question for me because I believe the 6 years I've been on the council that the city has been very engaged in a lot of things. But what I would say that since we all know this election coming up, so I've been knocking on a lot of doors in the community. I didn't know we had that much Latino community, and I think we need a Latino liaison in the mayor's office, in the city council office. So I don't want to put all the responsibility on the mayor's office because as legislators, city council members, we have a responsibility as well. So I think that's something that's collaborated. But I would see, if I was elected, I would create a Latino liaison office. That way the Latino folks can be comfortable speaking, someone who speak their language, know their culture, and then they can address some of the needs they have in the community. So I think that's something that need to be addressed.
Thank you. Candidate Uong, same question.
Yes. As a civil engineer and also as a mayor, you have to address and solving the problem. That's a major responsibility. And want to make sure that we're working together to connect with the community. We're able to listen and hear what the resident is crying for. As a mayor, this is what my job, this is what my priority is, to connect, to make sure that we empower the people to build a stronger community here in Laurel. So together, working together from the resident, councilman, the mayor, the city staff, yes, we can. As your mayor in 2024, we will succeed that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, we will begin with candidate, forgive me, Candidate Deonauth, I was moving too fast. So same question, and if you would like for me to repeat it, I'm happy to do so.
Can you please repeat the question?
Certainly. What initiatives or actions do you believe the mayor's office should undertake that aren't currently being addressed?
I believe the issues that aren't being addressed would be program or a lot of art things every month, or like with culture and tradition. I agree with everyone. We should definitely apply that with the diversity that we have. So creating that and doing a different theme every month would bring a lot of people out. And like women clubs, I'm a woman and business owners. I would like to be comfortable in building and knowing the community. So creating that safe place for women and just safe people in general and diverse zones, we really need to implement on the people and comfortable environments. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to the next question, and we're going to again start with Candidate Smith. As environmental challenges increase due to local development, What measures would you champion to make Laurel more eco-friendly and sustainable?
Maybe probably have a auxiliary sustainability person, or leaning on one of our nonprofit organizations here in the city. They give a lot of expertise, so just leaning on the experts and seeing what they recommend. I'm not the expert in that, so I would lean on them.
Candidate Sydnor?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yes. As environmental challenges increase due to local development, what measures would you champion to make Laurel more eco-friendly and sustainable?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So far, since we've been on the council, we have banned plastic bags in the city. We're going to mandate composting in, I think, 2024 or 2025. I can't recall the year. But we have made measures to tackle the environment, even with the trash. We had the recycling, the compost, and all those things that we're doing there. And the subject matter experts will continue to learn from the subject matter expert, getting training. And we had the Environment Affairs Committee, we had the Patuxent Rivers Committee. So we have things in place to continue to network with them, continue to learn from them, and engage ideas. But the things that we had done so far on the council has really been beneficial and will benefit long term to save the environment.
Candidate Uong, same question.
Yes, as a civil engineer, I'm going to be working with the economic and commercial department to make sure that the developer, designing and construction follow using green environmental practical. And that's what we're going to be looking for, is to make sure that it's in the partnership with the Laurel resident and of course with the city and staff administration to make sure they implement that. And the other part is we need to educate our citizen, our Laurel citizen, to make sure that we try to reduce waste. So in terms of food, in terms of trash bulk, to make sure that less go into a landfill. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Deonauth, same question.
Thank you. To be eco-friendly, that brings me back to the bus. The buses I'm trying to do. I would love to do being solar panel to create our carbon footprint, make it electric with the car, with more electrical cars, and with incentives as well with homeowners, giving an incentive to do more electrical, so we can have that eco go in. Educate people, because I think a lot of people don't know and they don't care. So if they were to know what's happening to our environment, or we push that, we can help eco as well, and plant trees, sustainability, solar panels. I would definitely love to just push all that eco-friendly stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Mitchell?
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, as mentioned, we're doing a lot of great things. We're a B city. For many years, we've been a sustainable city by Sustainable Maryland. And so continuing to do great things, making sure that the environmental director, she has support, as my fellow council member said, an auxiliary person. I personally went down to Edmonston, Maryland with Mike McLaughlin. He's a city resident and, an environmentalist in his own right. And so the idea he was wanting to present was green streets. And so for me, I think that it's best to go actually see a green street. And so we went to Edmonston, Maryland. We spent about an hour or two walking around, seeing the green street, how the rain swells prevented buildup, and just how much. And then we talked about how much funding it would take, and identifying certain streets. And so, of course, prioritizing green streets would be one, and then of course composting. So we need to continue to educate people since it's coming down the pipeline.
Thank you. And we're going to wrap up with that. That would be the last question for the evening. And we want to thank all of the candidates, but we're not finished yet. We will hear from you one more time with your closing remarks and statements. And yes, and then we will have Jason to come before us and close us out for the evening. 2 minutes for your closing remarks and statements. And we're going to start with candidate Uong, and then we will work our way down the row to my left. So thank you. Candidate Uong, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks to the audience tonight, along with the City of Laurel. On August 28, 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech at the Lincoln Memorial. I have a dream. I have a dream. Well, tonight, I'm sitting here along with 4 mayor candidates. This is my first time I'm sitting in this chamber. I too have a dream, one to serve and one to be the mayor of City of Laurel in this coming November 7 election. I came to this country 40 years ago with nothing, in search of freedom, democracy, food, education. I have achieved that the last 40 years. So, a vote for Uong is a vote for unity. My goal is to gain 15,000 unity on November 7 and 8, a result. And as President Obama said, together, yes, we can. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank the Laurel Board of Trades again for hosting this. Ms. Moderator, thank you again. You always do an excellent job. I think you did this every time I've been on this up here. Once again, the City of Laurel deserves a mayor that's going to keep our community first. The City of Laurel deserves a mayor that's mature, have experience, have integrity, have leadership, that's going to place service above self-interest. That's me. So I humbly ask for your vote on November the 7th for Keith Sydnor for your next mayor for City of Laurel. Let's lead together. Thank you.
What I can say is when you're looking at the candidate you want to choose, don't just look for who you know. Look for who's the right person for the job. Not for who's always showing up in a photo or who has the best post. Who seems the most mature, as in maybe the oldest. But you want to see, choose a person that's cross-generational. I'm cross-generational. Why do I say that? I'm 34. My mother is 74. My father is 80. I'm raised by a different generation, an older generation. I have the mannerisms of a 50-year-old. I'm an old soul in a young body. I have the experience. I'm the only council member up here that's led as council president for the past 2 years, for 2 times. I've served on this council for the past 4 years. I come from a family that's worked in government. My father, assistant town clerk of Hartford, Connecticut. My mother working for the state comptroller. I understand government. I understand how it works. Now is not the time to put someone that needs training wheels in the driver's seat. We need someone that's going to drive this well-oiled machine and make sure the city's moving forward for the next 4 years. That's setting us on the trajectory for greatness. I ask for your vote November 7th.
Thank you. I appreciate the Laurel Board of Trade. Once again, my name is Martin Mitchell, and it's a great opportunity for the people to hear the candidate's vision for the future of Laurel. Laurel can grow. Laurel can continue to innovate, and yet remain historic. I appreciate all of the kind residents that I've met along the trail and over the years. We have knocked 15,000 plus doors during this campaign because we believe that grassroots and hearing from neighbors directly is most important. Mr. Wink, a teacher from Laurel High School, who piqued my interest in civics. He was my teacher from 9th to 11th grade. I see him all the time in the community, and he reminds me that what is possible. He reminds me that I never really had a desire to be in politics. I came here honestly. I've been honing my skills over the years, whether it was debate club, mock trial, whether it was NAACP, whether it was being a community organizer. One of the things that I know is I am Laurel. I graduated from Laurel High School, matriculated to Eisenhower, then graduated from Laurel High School. One of the things when I was the championship wrestler and I was representing the community, Mayor Mo, he gave me the key to the city my senior year. Now I'm old enough to take it back and represent the city that I grew up in. I am committed to investing in the police, fire, and first responders, and making public safety paramount. I am proud to say that I've always been a people's champion and a voice for the voiceless. If you want nothing to change, no innovation, then don't vote for me because I am not your guy. I will always be committed to taking the residents' input seriously and including them in the decision-making process. And with that being said, see you soon, Laurelites.
Thank you so much. This has been an opportunity. This is new for me, and I might have training wheels. I'm against experience. You know, I'm up here. It's all men. They're experienced. So I'm new to this. But I'm here to learn and live. But I think that young face can really create that difference of Laurel. I've been here. I see the vision. I want to become a futuristic vision, and I still want to keep the historic roots at the same time. So I'm a new face, but that gives me I don't have a biased opinion when it comes to the new council. So we can really have open options and support these women businesses. But I believe in that diversity as well, because myself as culture, I'm Caribbean. So I want to be that person for everyone, as well as just the city and this I just think we can push it. We can become futuristic. As your leader, as a potential mayor, you know, I stand for a vision, a more vibrant city with sustainability, like I said, affordable housing, and my code enforcement, beautification of the city. So if you vote for me, I'll try to take my training wheels off and become your mayor. Thank you.
You gotta stay involved no matter what.
I know that.
No matter what.
That's a tough act to follow coming up here, right? I think I'm a little bit of a combination of all of those things that were mentioned, right? A little bit of gray, a little less hair, maybe one training wheel here. First one was last week. Now I'm gone. And trick or treat is tomorrow. So make sure I remember that. Follow us on social media. But I really just want to thank Pamela Hunter for yet again, it's a dynasty, another great moderation. And wow, Laurel, tough choices. A lot of great candidates here. Laurel TV, as always, is on point. Couldn't be any mic drops up there. They're attached. I mean, they were on fire. A lot of diversity of thought, ideas, perspectives. A lot of tough but similar decisions, right? There's a lot of small nuances you guys are going to have to really think about and educate yourself about these clients, about these candidates. We have a lot of questions that we couldn't get through. We thanks everybody for limiting the rebuttals as much as possible. We got through a whole lot of questions, but there's always more. So each and every one of these candidates is approachable. Approach them. They're not hard to find, right? They're out there. They're knocking on doors. They're at events. They're on social media. They're going to be right outside these doors and momentarily. So make sure to reach out, say hello, and don't be shy. Again, I got to mention that it's going to be replays tomorrow at 1 p.m. on Laurel TV, Saturday at 5:30, and Monday at 9 a.m. And as always, on Laurel's YouTube channel and the City of Laurel's Facebook page. Again, I got to thank a tremendous effort for the City of Laurel, Laurel TV crew putting this together, Laurel Border Trade volunteers that just do so much that goes unrecognized throughout the city. A bunch of the volunteers are here tonight that have been doing it for decades. A lot of these events that we're spoke about here, small few in this room have been putting them together for decades, and a round of applause for them. So, thank you and good night. That is the Candidates Forum, everybody.